What's up, geeks and gamers? My name is Draymond and welcome to Thorium Gaming. So we're gonna dive into some Warframe this Tuesday, cause I was originally planning on doing Fallout 76, but I put up a couple of posts detailing why I can't do that. To sum up a very long and disappointing story, the game is boring. There's nothing that hooks you into it and nothing that makes you actually want to continue your journey. It's an MMO without NPCs. It's isolated and dull. And they took everything that made a Fallout game great and took it out for a focus on the multiplayer. I was hoping for a Fallout 4 with a partner or a team as opposed to what we got. It's a little bit scathing, but in all honesty, it's got to be that way sometimes. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do a couple of missions or something like that in Warframe. Recently reinstalled it, and all the guys kind of came back on board. We've been having fun doing sorties and all the pretty awesome stuff that's been coming up lately. So we're just going to jump back in and see how it goes. And the big thing right now is I kind of need credits, because if we go over to my reputations tab here, I can actually upgrade Cephalon Suda
would make an excellent Cephalon, Tenno.
to the next rank. I want offerings, I want the next title. I have the Oberon Prime chassis built, but I need 500,000 credits, and there's only 8,000 in my account right now, so we're going to be going credit hunting. Should be great. So let's see what we've got for missions that are up right now. Oh, I'm terrible at the treasure hunts and all that sort of stuff. And I am playing Mirage because, well, they've increased Valk's speed a ton since the last time I played her, and it's hard for me to keep track of, and a downright epilepsy warning if I would have tried to record. So, there is that. Let's just go out and check out a few things. Now, there was a recent update, and if you go to Venus, there is a new place called Orb Valis and Fortuna. The Fortuna expansion not only released one of the coolest songs I've heard from a video game in recent memory, and you should really check out the Fortuna theme if you haven't already, but it's another open world area that gives you a jet skateboard. No, you didn't hear that wrong. You get a jet skateboard. And it's a lot of fun, to be honest. But we're not going to be going to do that right now because I just recently got a pair of new weapons all loaded up, which are for Octavia, the musical lady. They're her signature rifle and pistol. I would use Octavia with them, but I find Octavia to be very, very odd. And while she's a great frame, all things considered, she's more of a party frame than anything else. So we're going to try and find something to do on one of these planets. Let's do a 8 to 10 exterminate. Mirage is maxed out. She's Mirage Prime. Oh, and I also got a new landing craft. It's really cool. Sounds like a TIE fighter. See? TIE fighters are awesome. Anyway, with that all said and done, let's hop right into this mission and use the Pantero. I've got it rocking our colors. Of course, we're going to go around and try to destroy as many of these little baskets and everything as we can. Of course, we're going to pick up the IA-10 star. See if we can get ourselves some more credits. And the Paradox Void, which of course is Agnew and Will's clan? Yes, clan is the right word. In this is starting to upgrade a little bit more. Access to a lot of different weapon types. Pantero seems like a pretty decent build-up assault rifle. I forgot to check what our instigation mission is on this. I don't know if it's an instigation. We gotta find a mod. So, not entirely up to us whether or not this mission completes. It is a side mission, but still. Oh, I think this is one of the new things. There are new pieces of equipment. Oh, I got the Inaros. inside your ship, and they are for some mini games. Street Fighter, Asteroids, or something of the like, and another game. And you can collect the characters, which are the frames in this case. To fight in them. But they're picked up just like cephalon fragments. And there we go, that's going to complete our mission. I am slowly working up to rank 13. So that's going to be cool. Get to do another challenge mode here pretty quick. Kind of loving it. Warframe, for a free-to-play game, is stupendous. Just for a game in general is stupendous. And after the disappointment that was 76, kind of needed something that was just cathartic fun. Warframe kind of fits the bill. I mean, Digital Extremes does a lot to make their game feel fun and entertaining and engaging all at once without going down the typical routes that you'd expect for free-to-play games.
You've been seen.
And what's really kind of scary is that for a free-to-play game, on a much smaller budget, there are more characters that I care about in Warframe than I have ever cared about in Fallout 76, because they don't exist. There are a few NPCs and that sort of thing in 76, but they're robots. They're all robots. Or they're disembodied voices via holotapes. Which could be cool in theory, but in practicality it does not play out like that. So I'd much rather stick with characters and storylines that I can actually get involved in. They've recently added a couple of new frames. Since we've been dealing with the Eidolons on the plains of Eidolon, for Warframe, there's actually a Warframe itself called the Revenant. That's pretty much half Warframe, half Eidolon. It's a little broken at the moment. It needs to be balanced. I'm not going to deny that. But the entire concept is cool. It adds into the story. And of course we got Garuda and Korra, which are two new close combat style frames. Korra herself is a pet master, and she's a lot of fun. And you can customize your secondary weapons for certain frames, like Valkyrie's Claws have their own specialization window now, so I can upgrade them to do corrosive damage or whatever I'm fighting. And in Korra's case, you get two pets, because her third ability is actually control of her pet. The unique part about it is it has a remote heal function, essentially. And I'm probably going to play her on the next round just to show what I'm talking about. The other one is Garuda, and she is another very, very highly aggressive melee frame. But unlike Valk, who's all fire and rage, she's more of a I'm going to get into this combat and stick it out sort of thing. Her abilities revolve around using her health and her energy in combination. She can hurt herself to gain additional health, create a wall of razor blades, amongst other things. Okay, so the Pandero has a definite large clip capacity. There's an Oberon chassis. I was considering building Oberon at one point, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to want another healing frame. My support frame, of course, is Trinity, and I have the Nidus skin for her, which I think is just fantastic. Something I was willing to actually invest extra real-life money into, given the free-to-play environment, because it looked fantastic, and it was player-created, so credit where it's due. and D, Digital Extremes, they support their fan base, so it works out a lot better. Whether it's Siandanas or skins or anything along those lines, if it goes onto the Tennogen market, the author of that particular piece of artwork gets a cut of it and ends up profiting from how cool it is. Not many companies are willing to put their own personal profits aside to help out the people who are actually making the game more enjoyable and more fun.
The enemy is broken. Well done. Now get to extraction.
But with the release of all these holo characters and other things, it kind of gives you a reason to go back to places like Earth. And not just to level up low, unranked weapons, but to find other things to add into the game. Now, I don't have the game console, I guess if that might be the right way to say it, for my Orbiter yet, but it's on the list of things to do. Spent most of my time coming back and getting my new ship and a couple of new frames, so gotta kind of go with it. Speaking of things that I should be doing, though, we picked up another Iodine Star. Let's go in here and look at our Iodine treasures. We have tons of stars, but recently on one of our little forays out into the void, we picked up a sculpture from the end of our sortie, so we should probably put in the stars that make it active. Really cool kind of perpetual motion machines. They're worth a lot of endo when you get down to it.
All mods accounted for, operator. I have not taken any.
So let's grab one of the two new frames that are out there. So Garuda, as you can see, is fairly cool looking. I have a Tennogen skin helmet for her because I like the look of it. And Korra, I'm not a big fan of the looks, but her abilities are pretty great. So I think what we're going to do is go with Korra to start off with. And this is what I mean. Venari is her pet, which you can actually fully customize. But if you go in, you can upgrade Venari just like you would any other weapon. This is in addition to the fact that I'm going to have a Death Cube rolling with us, because I like my little Death Cube. It's like the Companion Cube's evil cousin. Yes, that's a Portal reference, and I'm not ashamed. So I get Venari, who continually respawns when you're out on the map, if it dies, and a Companion Cube, so it works out pretty well. Now this frame's only level 10, so let's look at fighting something a little different.
Did you hear that? It said... Cosmic background radiation is a riot!
Let's go with the regular Crossfire mission, Grineer versus Corpus. Try and show off some of the abilities of Korra herself, in addition to some of the new stuff that I've been doing. And then Tenaro and Pandero, I'm really liking how they work. I'm going to constantly call the main rifle the Pandero, even though it's the
You've gone to
Tenaro.
infestation. Extermination is the only option.
So as you can see, I have my Death Cube and I have a pet. And if I alter her 3, holding it, it can protect, it can heal, or it can attack. And I'm thinking that if you can get some really, really good Kavat mods, you can turn Venari into basically a wrecking ball that just follows you around, because if you haven't noticed, it's already off doing its thing and making my life
I'm still
a heck of a lot
detecting
easier.
infestation activity. Let's clean it up. Doors are locked. Time to break in.
And there is a new survival style mode. Cephalon Samaris sends you into the relay that we've been capturing the
Move on.
random enemies he sends us out for. You end up going into one of his simulations, and fighting wave after wave of them so he can make them even better. And it's rated on your efficiency. The faster you kill, the harder you hit. Highly suggest you do it with a group of friends because the efficiency wears down quickly after a time. But it is still tons of fun. What is shooting at me? There we go. Another Grenier down. I have found that, at least for the experience that I have had with the new game mode with Agnew, Adidon, and Will, that sometimes you get really lucky and the maps are beautiful for what you're trying to do. Other times, they kinda are set up almost to hurt you, and you tend to group up and just wail on them as a group. And in those particular situations, I tend to play Saren rather than Valk, which is a completely different playstyle for me. I'm used to being the hyper-aggressive, but we have a strategy that uses Valk's corrosive damage. And that hurt. Yeah, her first ability is a whip. Her fourth is a whip trap that you can ensnare someone in and then whip them again. Like I said, she's all basically a Beastmaster, and it's kind of cool. Her big whip trap thing is entertaining. Basically a bunch of razor blades around you. We're not going to wait on a slow elevator. I'm not really sure how to set Cora up to be overtly effective. Whether I need to go for a full energy build like I do with Saren, or if I need to set her up more physically like Valk. Either way, it's going to end up being different. It's definitely not the style of melee that I thought it was going to be. Garuda's a little bit more in line with how I play. She's aggressive, you get up close, and it's all about trading health for damage or damage for health, and her shield is just awesome. It goes from being just something that seems rather defensive to being something that allows you...
Let's override the security.
Okay, Space Mom. It allows you to basically do a giant shotgun blast in front of you. There's Venari doing its thing. My Death Cube is still rolling around too. Guess it's pointing us this way. I don't know why I went around the long way, but okay. Up we go. Never take elevators if you could jump. Part of the fun of this game in general is being able to do all the ninja-like stuff that Tenno are able to do. I am working on a new amp for my operator, so that it's not as weak as this, but that's going to take me some time. I'm going to need to do a lot of farming on the plains of Eidolon to get all the things that I need. Mostly it's a lot of Cetus Wisps, and you can only collect them at night. But if I'm going to go out Eidolon farming with Ivara, I swear I can English some days, but I'm a little tired. It was my first game back at hockey in about a month and a half. And, yeah, it beat me up a little bit. But even with that, it's still another game, even though the consequences for taking a hit in that game are slightly more intense. I had a good night, though. So, I'm not going to complain about that. It was nice to get the skates back on, go out, have some fun. And while I'm not going to be back at the stage I was when I was younger. Weird saying that considering my age, but I won't ever be back to that state. It's still fun. Throw on your skates, go out and have a blast just hanging around with friends and, you know, being a goof on the ice. Must be a Canadian thing. Man, they've been locking doors left, right, and center on us this time. And usually those dual doors you require a teammate to open, but since we're in a solo mission, they're not going to lock off an entire portion of the map with a double door. And I am generally going a little bit slower than normal. Again, part of the being beat up last night at hockey, I tripped over my own 2 feet, or as we like to say for hockey players, I tripped on a snow snake, and ended up kind of Ooh, I got a streamline. That's a pretty decent mod pickup. I tripped on a snow snake and ended up spraining my thumb. So, anytime I gotta do a slide move or anything like that, jumping especially, anything that involves my spacebar right now is kinda painful. But if you can't laugh at yourself, you have no right to laugh at anyone else, so I'm gonna laugh at myself. Especially since it was a snow snake that got me, and yeah. At least, according to my teammates at the time, the Russian judge gave me a 9. So, I can live with that. Now, the reason I say Streamline's good is its ability efficiency, meaning every button press for one of your abilities costs you less energy, and you can work with it. And Venari almost leveled up too. Cora almost leveled up as a frame. Generally progressing towards rank 13. It's pretty solid. But now that I've shown that, though not nearly as aggressively or as efficiently as I could, let's grab Garuda. Now you see the giant claws that are coming out of her arms. Well, if I unequip the Twin Croaker, those become her melee weapon. And it gives her the ability to manipulate them. So I think that's what we're going to do for this particular one. We're going to unequip the Twin Croaker. And now we have Garuda's talons out. And they look evil. And they are, in fact, evil as you progress through. I mean, they are just... Yeah, her melee speed is almost as good as Valk's. Let's just leave it at that. And her abilities are all focused around, you know, generally being a pain in the butt. So let's see, what do we want to do? Let's go kill some Corpus this time, I think. Find an exterminate mission. I should know where they are off by heart, but it's been a while. You'll have to forgive me. I mean, 76 had none of the grandeur that just this opening has.
Eliminate all Corpus threats.
Then you have Space Mom coming in to tell you what's up. You actually feel like you're important in Warframe. The missions make you feel like you're actually doing something, especially when you get into the Fortuna events. And if you haven't done them yet and you play Warframe, go do them. You feel like a real hero doing them. Now this is the cool part about this frame. That shield, you'll notice I've got a bloody blobby orb above my head. I can keep building it up, or I can unleash all I've stored as a giant shotgun blast. Now I didn't hit these guys for some reason. I can impale them to turn them into basically totems that give me health back, which comes in handy because I can sacrifice my own health to give me energy. You notice at the top right my health went down, and now because I'm standing near the totem that I made, I'm gaining health back. I'll have to come back and kill him in a minute. So she's literally all about the trade of health and damage. It's kind of cool. I don't think we're going to get another marker until this guy is dead. Alright, there we go. I'm going to switch back to ranged weapons for now. It's her 4 that is kind of brutal. So she can create these totems. Can't really hurt anyone while they're totemed up, which is a little unfortunate. Her shield lets her do that jumpy thing that gives you all of the extra shielding, and in turn gives you the ability to shotgun it out,
From enemy sensors.
which is that one right there. Her 3 sacrifices her own health for her energy, but it's her 4, her ultimate, as you'd call it. You hold it, and it just slices everything around you, and when you release it, it sends it all out as a blade.
You've been detected.
And the cool thing is all of her abilities cause status effect bleed at a high percentage. So, if you go with status effects and everything, you can actually make it so she can bleed people out just by walking around them. But the fact that she can create an aura of death with her own spikes, yeah, she's definitely high up there with the list of frames that I like. Valkyrie is always going to be my main frame, if such a thing even exists in this game. But I've also got Saren on the line, and I like her for missions where I can't... There's the shotgun blast. I like Saren for the missions where I can't really be my hyper-aggressive self. It's usually mobile defense, excavation, and more of the team game modes where I can't go off and be a psychotic pile of claws and death. Generally speaking, Valk is not good at those type of missions. She's a highly aggressive frame. Your only real option with her is be aggressive. So in general, you should have a mix of frames for other things that you do. So when I do spy and infiltration missions, or when I'm solo hunting Eidolons for their cores, just the little guys of course, I use Ivara, because her abilities allow her to get multiple Eidolon cores from the same little Eidolons, the Vormalists. It's a good idea, though, in general, to keep multiple frames around for different styles of combat. I know I've gone off on that when we were doing the live streams and everything, and I don't know if the streams are coming back for that or not. A few games up that I would love to do, but it really depends on what series I decide to go to for our Tuesday show. This is kind of a temporary thing, at least for now. But I do enjoy Warframe a lot. And not just because I get to take a robot monster that has a little kid inside of it and slaughter a bunch of people, but because the story, while it's not presented to you as well as it could be, the story is engaging, especially when you're dealing with certain aspects of the storyline that I refuse to spoil, because they're good, and I really enjoy them. But while the story is great in that regard, it's not really presented to you in a really coherent manner. So, kind of call that a failing. But no matter what you do, your Tenno always feels like it's important. Like you're important. Like you're adding to the story. And when you're playing with other Tenno, especially when you're playing with friends, you can get this real vibe going on. It makes you feel like you're doing a ton of good work, helping out Space Mom, protecting the people. Things that you don't get in a lot of games. It's hard to explain, but it's that general feeling of being important. Because there is no more universal trait in this world than wanting to be important. It's one of the most mundane concepts to humanity, and yet one of the most important too. It makes us excel. Or at least excel in part. There's something over there. I don't know if I've scanned that yet. It's a Cephalon frag. So let's check out and see if I've scanned it. Nope. I don't need to scan that one. Kind of lost my train of thought there for a second. But yeah, whatever you do in here makes you feel like you're part of the story, like you're engaged. And if a free-to-play game on a very limited budget when it was created can do that, why couldn't 76? Yes, I'm going to be railing about that for a while because I was on board the hype train. I was so excited for it. And then it turned out to be less than desirable. And that's me being very, very, very charitable. And if I said exactly what went through my head when I first loaded up the full release, well, a mature content warning would be in definite order because I'd be swearing for about a half an hour straight. And again, that's being charitable. Bethesda makes some great games. And then it makes things like Fallout 76 and sells out what is the core principle of its entire franchise for like shoehorn multiplayer. If the multiplayer had been good, if the multiplayer had been effective, maybe you could say that the game had something going for it. But in the state it's in, there's no draw. I mean, I usually give a game a good, fair chance when I play it. And to make it as a Let's Play series or anything like that, the game has to be entertaining for me as well, because you can't show your passion in a game if you actually don't enjoy the game. So, in other words, that's part of why I can't do a 76 Let's Play, and why I could do one for Warframe. Because Warframe grips you, it makes you feel part of the action, part of the story, and downright makes you feel great. And it's a free-to-play game, so if you're not playing Warframe yet, why? Just go out, download it, it's free, come on, have some fun. Pretty sure I hit that button. Yes, I did. I have not regretted any of the time and even the money I've spent on Warframe. Again, I'm usually against microtransactions and that sort of stuff within AAA games. But this was a free-to-play game, so I'm like, okay, I'll delve in. I would probably drop close to another $100, $200 on this game just for the fact that the game doesn't force it down your throat, keeps you involved, and makes you feel like you're a real ninja. Well, a techno ninja. Maybe that's where Tenno came from, techno ninja. Maybe. Probably not. Might be reading a little bit too much into it. That was a good amount of experience. Gained a level on the frame, leveled up her talons. The Tenora and the Pandero both got leveled up. It's slow progress to level 13 at this point, but I'll take it. And 4,000 credits adding towards our list, not that harsh, but eventually once I have the credits for it, I'll go do the index with the guys, which isn't unlocked for me yet for some silly reason. So there is that. Oh, and in the meantime, I also took Nova out a few times and capped her off. But since I was talking about Saren, let's equip her, which will allow me to go do some other types of missions. Where are my Twin Croaker? And see, even things like this. All of these weapons here, the weapons that I have, oh, you can pay for these weapons. I don't mind that in this, because it's not really forced down your throats. Like, it's an option. They have to make their money, and it's there, but it's not really in your face. But while I'm thinking about it, too, since the Twin Croaker are almost completely leveled, I thought I had another melee weapon ready to go. Ah, the Lecta. The Energy Whip. I'm leaving the Naginata in there until I can free up some inventory space. I have a lot of weapons right now, and I have to go through them and sort out what I want to keep and what I don't. But let's find... That's mobile defense, that's an interception. I don't want to do either of those. They're not fun. Well, at least they're not fun on your own. Defense can be fun, but well, let's not go to Saturn. Let's try Jupiter. I don't really care what I fight. I'd prefer an exterminate mission, because we're just going in and having a little bit of fun. But I'll show you how I use Sarin when it comes to all of the different missions that Valk is not appropriate for. Now usually I have a Frost, a Rhino, and a Nidus backing me up, and oh my god. Aidedon, if he was streaming, I would be plugging his stream for his Inaros, or not Inaros, his Nidus, as quickly as I could, because the guy has come across a way to take an already broken frame,
Keep moving.
and I mean broken as in it's really, really, really powerful, and break it even more. Aidedon plays Nidus like a pro. And especially when I'm playing Sarin and he links to me, because that's one of Nidus' abilities, the guy just doesn't die. He doesn't take damage, and he sits around having fun while completely boosting his team. He does it like a boss, and I cannot deny that he is awesome at it. It's generally how it works with our group. I've been declared, so to speak, the Valkyr player for us. Could swear there's... Did I see a statue up there? Yes, I did. I think I already have this one, though. Yes, I already have that one. Now, I've been declared kind of our Valkyr player and our Sarin player because I like them and I'm fairly decent at them. Not perfect. But if you watch my Valkyr or my Sarin go, it's a good starting point, at least, if you want to build up your own skills with the frames. Aidedon plays Nidus and Ember like a boss. Like, I'm in awe of the guy's skill. It's awesome to see. So what I'm doing here is just shooting out some infection, and you can see all the corrosive damage that's coming up. And in the bottom right corner of my screen, you can see a decaying icon. The more people I have infected, the stronger the infection becomes. So now I've got 1 infected, and it starts building up stacks. I've got 2 infected, 1 now because they keep dying off. And generally that's how I help out on the missions. Now you probably noticed that they get these blue spores on them. You can see right now. My teammates can pop those spores in turn and spread the infection while doing some damage. For me, it just gives me more stacks and lets my infection spread. I can also do a heck of a lot of damage to enemies all at once if they're infected by using my ult, which is called Miasma. And it does extra damage, but it does a baseline of damage regardless. It's a lot of fun. But as you can see, I've got Sarin built for an energy build, so she's not exactly the strongest frame. This is a Sarin Prime at max rank. So take that 620, 781 as kind of a... well, with a grain of salt, I should say. Of course, you can also shed your skin, run around dealing corrosive damage. This frame is all about mobile lethality, but not in the whole melee mindset when you're playing her solo. But when you're in a group, especially when you're defending a target or looking to kill people really quickly, if you have teammates that are shooting at enemies and popping off your spores? Infection nodules? I don't know what you want to call them. But if they keep popping them off at a regular basis, then it just amps the amount of damage you do. And 3 adds a whole bunch of corrosive damage to my attacks. It's all about the corrosion with her, which is kind of like their version of poison. You see, I didn't even infect that guy, and he was infected. Anytime one of them dies or takes damage on a spore, the spore pops and can infect those nearby. It's definitely a different playstyle than I prefer. I like the up-close and personal sort of thing. I love my Valk, but at the same time, it's a very solid frame to take into team situations, so I can't knock it for that. It took me a long time to get used to that. I couldn't become invulnerable, though. And energy reserves become a major factor when you're playing her. You run out of energy, you pretty much die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You will go down. Which kind of sucks, but it is what it is sometimes. And these guys, the nullifiers for the Corpus, you want to aim for the shield bubbles that they put above their heads. Because my abilities can't go into the shield bubbles. But there is these things up top, and if you shoot them and actually kill them, granted I'm using pretty much unranked weapons, you break their ability to do that. And that opened up a big group of guys. Now I can slide in the middle. Ooh, I don't have the energy for a miasma, but that's okay. They're all pretty much getting popped off at a fairly steady pace. And I do have to remember that shields going down is a bad thing for Saren. Shields going down on Valk is pretty much every other second, because she has like 100 shields. That should give us some Oxium. That's not bad. I need to find a door control console, which we happen to find right here.
Breach complete. We're free to proceed.
I am liking the Tenaro. It's like an LMG, only not an LMG.
I'll get to extraction.
So now I just need to get the extraction zone. One of the cool things about the new Revenant frame, too, is he can actually turn enemies into allies. At least that's the way I read it. And he's basically a disco ball style ability in the vein of Mirage, only instead of it sending out a ball, he becomes the disco ball. And the disco ball is just as deadly. That was a cryotic container, or a cryo container. Why did I stab it? Oh right, because sometimes I'm an idiot. Don't really need to kill the rest of these guys, so let's just burn out and get to the end. While I think that the Revenant is going to get tweaked a fair bit in the future, right now it's a very strong frame, and being really unique in its mechanics, Adidon was drawn to it almost immediately, but he's still gonna mainline Nidus. And then you look at guys like Agnew, who runs Rhino like a boss, and has been playing around with Loki, or not Loki, Limbo. That's the L word I'm looking for. He's playing around with Limbo a lot, and while Limbo is one of those frames that it goes really good with an experienced Limbo player, or it goes horribly wrong. Limbo can screw up your teammates so easily by tossing them into the void that it's not even funny. I mean, no jokes, nothing. It's just not funny. When Limbo pops off, it's basically, hey, all your stuff doesn't work now. Great. Unless you combat roll out of it. But still, if you're on Valk or something, you don't notice you're in the void, and all of a sudden you're spinning around like an idiot, it's hard to keep track of that stuff. And of course, Will, the boss main's Frost, and his Opticore is getting even more and more ridiculous. Oh, that's a lot of God Rays. It's really shiny. There we go. That's something better going. But anyway, guys, that should probably do it for this week. I have no idea what we're going to do next Tuesday, but I am looking at a couple of possibilities for a new series. And then we'll get that started for Tuesdays, and then do some streaming at some point, probably Sundays, as it's coming up. But, don't know. But if you like the video, guys, please consider hitting that like button. If you'd like to join up with the 232, join me in Warframe, or be part of the Let's Plays, or just part of the community, just hit the subscribe button, and make sure you turn your notifications on so you don't miss when a new video goes up. Remember, guys, life is a game, so play to win. And until next time, take care.